What it do, YouTube? Coming at y'all for the first time on the subject of Destiny 2. In my opinion, at the current state that it's in. I know there are many people out there that have already given their opinions on everything, their insight on everything, what should and shouldn't be in the game, what should be taken out the game, what should be changed about the game. I'm not here to do that. Everything I say is strictly how I feel on D2 and everything that I like about it and what I don't like about it. I know. You probably thinking, so what makes your opinion matter? What makes you important? Why should I listen to you? But just hear me out. It may have you thinking, in an entirely different way on how you see Destiny 2. You know what I mean? So let's jump right in this thing. First thing up, since it is the newest thing, the Curse of Osiris DLC. This content has the least content I have ever paid for a DLC. The story feels like I jumped in the middle of a movie right before the action starts. Imagine watching the Avengers Civil War right at the part where they started to fight. You wouldn't know what's going on. All you see is a bunch of heroes sitting there fighting each other. Why they fighting? They all thought they was all good guys. Yeah, well, that's how I felt with this story. Everything was so short and unrewarding. I finished everything by myself in 2 weeks on 2 characters, and I didn't even play every day. I expected more from this DLC, seeing as D1's first expansion was just about the same exact size and no one liked it. The only thing that kept me going was the Dawning event. Trying to do both of those things at once kept me firing up the game almost daily for at least 2 hours. Now the Dawning is over and I only had a Curse of Osiris to do. This wouldn't be so bad if the game wasn't as dead as it is. The DLC to me is just bad because it just isn't enough to play for 3 months or until the next event or DLC comes out. They give us the smallest social space / planet ever. If we could somehow compare spaces between the Dreadnought and Mercury, let's not forget the Dreadnought is a ship. I think the Dreadnought would have more space than Mercury would. Which brings me to the Eververse situations. To be clear, I am not in no way, shape, or form a fan of loot boxes. I don't like them. They shouldn't be in any game. Get rid of all of them. If I do something a certain amount of times, I shouldn't get a random roll. No, put a certain reward onto it. You can have a loot table of that activity that I'm doing, but don't give me a box of everything in the game and I can get possibly one thing that I don't want. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get something I don't want. But if it's in the game and I can grind to get whatever I want, amongst other things even, then hell with it. Let's grind in. Let's put in this work, these hours. Let's put in these days. Let's get what we want. I love the customization items in D2. There was nothing like that in D1, and that's to me what kind of lacked that in Destiny 1 is everybody basically looked the same. Or you eventually ran across somebody who was wearing the exact same thing as you, running the exact same loadout as you. I don't mind that they're in a loot box, but the real problem is the XP throttle. You cannot punish me for playing your game way too long. Who says it's way too long? Who are you to dictate that I'm playing the game too long? That doesn't make sense to me. If I want to play your game for 3 to 5 hours, I should be able to play for 3 to 5 hours. Hell, if I want to play for 24 hours straight, I should be able to play and get at least, if I'm playing for 24 hours and I only get 3 loot boxes, there's a problem. In 24 hours, I should have 20. I should have at least 1 an hour. Especially if I'm doing strikes and playing Crucible. There's no reason I should be loaded up with loot boxes by the end of the strike or the end of the Crucible match. The only thing that I like about the loot boxes is it's finally an element in Destiny where I could say, oh, I got this out of the loot box. And somebody will see me and be like, where'd you get it? And then I have to tell them, oh, randomly dropped for me. So then they have to sit here and look at me with this special helmet on. And then they got to put in the same amount of work, hopefully, to grind for it. You got to grind for that loot box that's going to drop it for you. With that being said, if you left D1 after the first 3 months and didn't play again until year 2, you might feel me on this one. D1 was horrible on release. That game literally had nothing to do on it. Once you hit level 20, you had to do the raid to hit max level, which was 30 at the time, I believe. After you did that, nothing. Strikes were boring. They didn't give you anything. Crucible was boring. It was basically just who could snipe the best. The maps were big as fuck. Everybody got vehicles, and that was about it. And when you just did Crucible after that, and if you didn't want to do Crucible, there literally was nothing to do. But wait, isn't Destiny a MMO RPG FPS or somewhere along those lines supposed to be one of those games? You're not supposed to beat MMOs. You're not supposed to be able to beat RPGs. Those games are supposed to last forever. You definitely can't beat a FPS. You can't beat Call of Duty. You can hit max level, but it's not a linear multiplayer. It's not just, okay, you do this, do that, and then that's the end of it. No, every game is different because it has different people, it has live people. So I left then, didn't come back till 2 months before The Taken King was released. And it was so much that I missed that I wanted, and I couldn't get because I didn't have enough time before The Taken King came out. This time, in Destiny 2, I refused to let a slump in the game hinder me from receiving a piece of gear, ornament, exotic, or powerful gun, or anything. I won't play as hard as I normally would, simply because I'm a solo player. It's hard to find a good team to raid with. It's hard to find a good trials team, or just two people to simply do strikes and grind for rewards and test Eververse. I mean, they got the guided game system, which is normally what I do now if I don't feel like getting on LFG, but that takes 10 to 15 minutes just to find me two people. It's entirely too long. I know some people, or most people, call Destiny 2 Destiny because all the armor and they all do the same thing. They offer little to no difference. Why they left out raid perks on raid weapons and armor, I mean, that makes absolutely no sense to me. But with Masterworks coming in the game, along with the Forged Osiris weapons, it's clearly a step in the right direction. The game as a whole is not a bad game. It deserves an 8 out of 10, at least. Yes, they gear Destiny 2 towards the casual gamer, but you can still play and have fun on this game. People forget that The Division, after the first month, was horrible. And it went on in that same style, being a horrible, unplayable ass game for 2 years. Almost a new glitch every single day, a new exploit every single day. People manipulating the Dark Zone every single day, manipulating everything every single day, and finding loopholes. Just playing the game right, but stacking up stuff that shouldn't go that high. And people were breaking the game. But people stayed with the game. Some people left. I stayed until D2 came out, and then I stopped because D2 was the better game. Now The Division is finally in a playable state to claim the great game name that it is. I never said that The Division is a bad game. It had its problems, but it still was a good game to me. One thing that I did learn from D1 and The Division is you can't give up too early. The first 3 months, the first 6 months, it's still too early to give up on that game. It can and will come back to a great state. D2 is definitely not a bad game in my opinion. It has bad elements that need to be adjusted that make it seem like it's a bad game. The strikes, they're pretty good, but there's just no good rewards coming out of them. Now, I've ran a couple strikes the other day, and you get a lot more Vanguard tokens and all of the glimmer and a few pieces of gear. But that's one of the ways that I managed to level up to 330 in like 3 days. So it's not really bad. If you get on there for the first time, this is probably the best game that you've played in a while. But if you've been playing since it released, yeah, you're probably pretty bored right now. But at the same time, you can still get on, play the raid, and probably maybe get something new. I don't know. The Masterwork weapons, which is what I'm chasing after right now, that's a good idea. Because when everyone comes back who took a break, they're not going to know what the Masterwork weapons are, and then they find out that they spawn more orbs. You not realize how good that is in the raid, spawning orbs. If everyone has Masterwork weapons, spawning orbs in the raid, That's like an unlimited amount of orbs just constantly flowing on the floor. Another thing I want to touch on real quick is Bungie updated us on the 11th on what is going to come for the rest of Season 2, Season 3, and the 2018 year of Destiny. So they hear us on the Eververse is the end game, and it shouldn't be. So they're shifting the balance. They're going to put more rewards towards activities instead of bright engrams. Completing nightfalls, raids, and such will now start to reward, emotes, weapon skins, all of that. The main thing that I mainly wanted them to focus on, though, is the XP rates. It doesn't mean anything unless I'm properly gaining XP. I don't want to sit here and be on the game for hours and only level up once or twice. No, I need to be constantly leveling up. If I choose a Saturday or a Sunday to play the game all day, I expect to, like I said earlier, get 20 engrams or 20 rewards. It doesn't matter. But you definitely should not be taking my my experience from me. The new update is supposed to push out on January 30th. We're supposed to get Master Weapon or Master Works armor, raid reward reworks. Then in the February update, they're going to introduce strike scoring and high score tracking again. Mods are going to get reworked. Quick play is supposed to get touched on. For you PC players, your chat is supposed to get worked on. Exotic repetition reduction. That means you're not going to, in one sitting, you're not going to get 2 Graviton Forfeit helmets. You're going to get one and then another. Now, that's not saying if you get an exotic engram today and you get another one tomorrow, you're not going to get the same thing. It's just not going to do it back to back. Fire team members will finally show up on the map when you're doing public events. And then they're going to do another update in spring. So Bungie is trying. I can give them credit where they're trying. They're listening. The negativity coming from some people is just ridiculous. I understand you paid this much for a game, yada, yada, yada. You're mad. Okay. You have the right to be. But to beat a dead horse, as I stated earlier, uncalled for. Nothing works at the speed of light except light. You got to give companies time to fix their mistakes. So that's my thoughts on Destiny 2. You comment below and tell me how you feel, if you think the game is actually worth still playing, or if you just want to chuck the piece of shit in the trash. Within that update, we're also supposed to get competitive ranking systems, or I don't know if it's more so competitive than just a number and a symbol next to your name. They don't really look like they go back. It looks like Grimoire score. That's what it looks like. The more you play, the higher the score gets. That's what it looks like. But coming straight from Bungie, beginning with Season 3, we'll introduce seasonal Crucible ranks. There will be 2 different ranks for players to pursue. Valor, a progression rank that goes up as you complete matches. Winning helps you move up faster, but there are no loss penalties. And Glory, a progression rank that goes up when you win and down when you lose. Performance is how you move up, along with private matches being introduced with the ranking system. This is everything that I've been waiting for as far as the PvP element wise. This is it. If you want to get the full rundown of the update, I'll put the link in the description below. Comment, like, subscribe. It truly help me out. And I'm out.